Okay, so what is Adobe Illustrator? So basically, it's part of the Adobe suite. So it is similar to some of the programs that you may have already used, i.e. InDesign and Photoshop, probably more similar to Photoshop. But Illustrator is a vector based, whereas Photoshop is raster based. And they both have their advantages. I find Illustrator works better to do technical drawings, and I'm going to go through and explain to you why that is the case and why you find that most designers would use it. So as I said, it's a vector-based program. It's used by designers, textile designers, graphic designers, knitwear designers, print designers, accessories, you name it. It's quite commonly used, not only in the UK, but also globally. What you'll find with Illustrator is that it allows your drawings to be clean, clear, and is a quick and easy way to scale things, objects and garments. It's very easy to trace. If you've already got a hand drawing, you can use that drawing in the program and trace over it. You can colour really quickly, so do different colour options and see what things look like even before you made a decision on the colour. And it also helps you to create patterns. So obviously with patterns, often you need to do repeat patterns, and so doing that by hand would be very, very difficult, and by any other program other than Illustrator and Photoshop, you may find that a little bit difficult. So let me just go to the next slide. Previous to any sort of computer-aided design program, a lot of the drawings that you'd have to do would have to be by hand. So traditionally, a lot of the flat drawings, now the flat drawings that I'm talking about are black and white drawings, and they are black and white sketches of your designs, and they would normally be a front and a back. So commonly, these are some of the things that designers, fashion designers, would use the program for. So technical drawings. You might also hear of them being called spec drawings, design drawings, spec drawings. So there's little terms to them that might be slightly different depending on where you work and where you're studying. And also it helps designers to create a technical pack. Now, a technical pack is basically a document that has your drawings, it has all your design details, it tells someone basically how to construct your garment from start to finish. So it's like a plan or a GPS almost, getting from from A to B. So getting from your design idea to your design physical 3D garment. As I said, they use it for patterns and creating texture. Using it for graphics, so that could be for labels, it could be for if you've got an embroidery, etc. I also use it for mood boards. A lot of people tend to use it Photoshop for mood boards, but you can use Illustrator for mood boards. There's no wrong or right way of doing it. As I said, both have their benefits. And also designers use it for CAD books. Now CAD books are basically it's like a book, a catalogue with all your designs. Sometimes it will have a photograph, and then it will have your your technical drawings. Now, how this is used in the industry is that sometimes they will make one garment or one style in one colour, and they won't make the other colours. So they will CAD the other colours using your technical drawing to give an example of what other colour options someone can purchase as a client. So you might find that this is called CAD book, selling book. People call it different things, but essentially it is a selling tool that's used within the industry that incorporates your technical drawing. Last couple of years back, we also use Illustrator to do floor plans. So for Tommy Hilfiger, they had to do a rendered drawing of the design of a shop, and then they had to do a floor plan, which is basically an architectural drawing of how things are laid out. It's a bird's eye view. So Illustrator can be used for that as well. As I've mentioned already, colouring up things really quickly. And also some people use it to create their actual illustrations or to enhance them. So your lineup, for instance, you may use watercolours, but you might actually want to scan that into Illustrator and put some other effects on it like you would do in Photoshop, or you can incorporate or insert fabrics, etc., etc. So it's used by designers in many ways. These are just a few of the ones that I would say are the most popular ones that it's used for. Um, and as I said, one of the benefits is actually you don't need to rub out, and it's really easy to quickly correct things once you get the hang of it. So why are technical drawings used in fashion design? So basically what you'll find is that although we do a lot of buying clothes in the UK, you'll find that probably 90%, maybe even I say it might even be higher than that, and most of the garments that we get are made abroad outside of the UK. So it's highly likely that whoever's going to be making your garment may not have English as their first language. Okay, so it's really important that our technical drawings, when you think about drawings are universal. Anybody can look at them. They don't necessarily have a language linked to them. They're very easy to translate. So producing a visual flat image of a garment is the most effective non-verbal way of communicating design requirements. So that's one of the reasons why they use technical drawings. It's easy because you can send it across as a file to a factory, and usually they sometimes have someone who's actually also trained in Illustrator that can also, if necessary, needs to adapt your drawing, can do so as well. And you'll find that other people within the actual industry, so when you go to do a placement, you'll find that there'll be other people that are also using Illustrator, also using your technical drawing. So obviously the design process has, all the product, so your shirt has a life cycle. So it goes through concept, it will go through your technical drawing, then from your technical drawing you would make the pattern, and then from the pattern you'd make the garment. Then you'd get the sample back, because you guys call it protos, and then you'll fit it, and then actually if you need to make any adjustments you will then go back to your technical drawing, make the adjustments and start the whole process again. So it's really important that you kind of embrace this skill, because it is something that is really embedded within the industry at the moment. So it's considered part of the creative design process within fashion. And I say that because some people look at technical drawing and think, oh, it's very technical. I'm not technical. I don't use computers. I'm not very good at using computers. I am not technical. The only reason why I know how to use Illustrator is because, unfortunately, I was forced to use it because the industry uses it. But what I would say to you is that it is part of the creative process. You can use it, as I said, to design prints, etc., etc. But also, when you're drawing your garments, you can start working out how you want things to look. You can also, you might have something drawn by hand and then realize, oh, actually, it might be quite nice to put this detail in, because you're now looking at how it's constructed. So it's really good because instead of looking at your design as a, not being condescending, but as a pretty picture, it now becomes something that you need to analyze and see, is this design feasible? Can it be made? Can it be made? Can it be manufactured? Is it just a concept, an idea? Or actually, can this be made? Is the design details? Can I put that sleeve there with this type of manipulation? So the technical drawing allows you to start thinking about it in that way, start analysing, being critical about your design ideas, about how it's going to fit to the body, how it might be restricted, how are you going to get into the garment, things that sometimes gets missed when you're just doing free-flowing design development. So that's why I would say Illustrator is really creative, because then it allows you to then start thinking, okay, maybe I can use this cutting technique instead of the one that I was originally thinking. So try and take any negative connotations that you may have already have about technology, because anybody can use Illustrator, and you will be very experienced by the time you finish level 5 and feel quite comfortable to go into work for an internship, if you wanted to take the year out, and equally when you finish level 6 you should be able to produce that, because it would be required as a skill. So the main, as I'm going to summarise, the main purpose of a technical drawing and a spec pack. Remember, the technical drawing is the actual drawing itself, front and back. The spec pack actually has all the construction details in it. You'll get used to this, and when you get to level 5, you probably will have to produce a spec pack. So don't feel like you have to take in all this information I'm telling you today. It's just a really brief introduction. So with the technical drawing, the spec pack, it allows the designer to review details before sampling. So it can essentially save you from doing loads and loads of protos if you use this beforehand, if you start thinking about your technical drawing beforehand. It informs pattern cutters. So when you get to level 6 and you might need to get some of your samples made, it informs them of the design details in order for them to replicate the garment to your requirements. So instead of picking up the phone and saying, I want this, this and that, it allows you to have a formal document that says, this is what I want, follow this, and I will be happy, basically. Okay, so and that goes the same for when you're working in the industry. It allows those who are off-sea or abroad. So what they will do with your technical pack is they will use your technical pack, get all the components because you've listed them in your pack, what buttons you want, what zips, what stitching, what seams, and it allows them to not only work out how much fabric is needed for that garment, but it allows them to cost that garment, to say this garment is going to cost this to make. So it's really important that the technical drawing and your spec pack are really accurate. And that's one thing that I would say that's a discipline that you're really going to get used to by doing your technical drawings. Okay. So why is it important to you? I would ask the question at this point, you know, how many of you want to be a designer? And probably a lot of you want to be a designer. And not realizing that actually some of the skills, it's not just obviously about being creative. There are some other skills that are required, and Illustrator is often one of those that is mentioned. So regardless of if you're a designer or a product developer or a garment technologist or a pattern cutter, often you'll find in some companies these other roles, as I said, product developer, garment technologist and the pattern cutter, often also have to use Illustrator as well. So that once the designer has finished their role in creating the garment, it goes on to the product developer or the garment technologist, and they may need to actually adapt the technical drawings for you. So regardless of what sort of role you're doing, if it's basically with the product, hands-on with the product, you probably will need to know how to use Illustrator going forward. So unfortunately, it's not something that is optional. It's something that really is sort of a mandatory thing. And when you go to look at some of the job requirements actually in today's industry, you'll see it's really commonly mentioned in the roles for even an entry designer. So here it says have a great eye and will be able to manipulate designs and have ability to do some print designs, as well as being advanced in Photoshop and Illustrator. So that is basically a distant jersey designer. And the others actually talk about being proficient or being advanced in using the program. So again, I don't want you to get any surprises when you finish thinking, okay, I wasn't really good at Illustrator, because some of the jobs, I'm not saying all the jobs, but a lot of the jobs specs actually put that as a main requirement. But I don't really want you to take my word for it. I'm going to show you an email that we got from a student who actually talks exactly about that. And she sent an email. She basically got a placement for 6 months with Hugo Boss, and she absolutely hated Illustrator. She didn't think she was very technical minded. She didn't like it at all. And it was quite funny actually when I see her now and we speak about it, about how much she disliked it. But she basically had to go for an interview for Hugo Boss, and basically she got shortlisted. So the last bit of the interview stage was actually creating a spec pack that she had to do over the weekend. And she comes back saying, fortunately, all things have paid off. In the end, they said the work I produced was much more professional and than the other candidates. And that's one thing to really think about. The students that come out of Kingston, they have a reputation for being really good at technical drawings. So she started there. She said it was a bit nerve-wracking, but she's just wanted to say that she was really thankful that we taught her the skills needed in order for her to get that placement, and she really did enjoy it. Then we had another student, I think the year before that, who had 2 weeks placement at Ted Baker, and she's come back saying how she really enjoyed it. She was working on the print part of the design department, and 3 to 4 of her designs were selected. And they were selected to go into the store, which was an amazing achievement for just being there for 2 weeks. She's gone, actually, your Illustrator lecture was so much helpful when I made patterns for prints. Thank you for giving me this opportunity that I can experience many things in the fashion industry. So these are some of the prints that she actually did for them. You can see that went into the store. And again, as I said, amazing achievement for just being there for 2 weeks. So that just gives you an indication on really how it can help you. It can make the difference between getting a placement or getting an internship or getting a job for that matter. Some people will train you, some companies will train you on the job, but it's such a fast industry, sometimes they don't have the time to actually teach you it. So really take the advantage that some universities don't actually give Illustrator as lessons. They're just expecting students to be able to get on with it, basically. So let me get back to the next page. Okay, so what are technical drawings? I've already explained. They are drawings essential for anyone working in the fashion industry. It's a common tool used to convey design ideas and details. Okay, one thing I would say to you is that don't give up. It will be worth it in the end. Sometimes you're going to feel like you want to throw the computer out of the screen, out of the window, but don't give up. Over time, things will get better, and and the tutors that will be on level 5 as well will also help you to get the hang of it. Everybody takes up Illustrator at different points. We work at different stages. We learn at different paces as well, but don't give up. You will definitely get the hang of it. So one of the things I want you to remember when you do come back in level 5, and what we did in level 4, one of the rules that we kind of had was no mobile phones on the desk unless you're taking notes, or unless actually you are needed to be available, ready for someone to contact you in cases of emergencies. No surfing on the internet whilst in the sessions, because that's distracting, and also because the sessions are set up in a way in stages, and if you miss a stage, sometimes you find it hard to get back on track. Attend all sessions or email myself or the tutor if you can't make it. Respect each other's need for concentration and refrain from unrelated conversations. And obviously speaking too loud in that respect, because sometimes someone hasn't completed a task and they're having a little bit difficulty, and if they've got someone in there, people talking about something else, it can be quite distracting, and it can be quite demotivating as well, thinking, why haven't I got to finish it? How comes they finished it before me? So just respect that for other people. Really important is take notes. So you will need to take notes. So whilst you're even doing the catch-up sessions, or you're following the sessions that I'm giving you, I would really advise to take notes. And you will need to bring a notebook for every session that you come to. I do give you some notes, and you'll see for the first couple of sessions, but then you are expected to make your own notes. Making your own notes are better because it's how you learn, how you best take in the information. I only make notes, I try to make notes for you guys to understand, but obviously when you're writing in your own handwriting, in your own way, there's nothing better than that. So practice in between sessions. This is a really big one. If you don't practice in between sessions, what will tend to happen is that when you come to the next session, you've forgotten what you learnt the week before. Now, I can testify to that because I've done many training sessions on Illustrator, and sometimes what's happened is I've done a course. When I was much younger, I've done a course, I went back to work, didn't have time to utilize some of those skills, and then when I needed to use them, I couldn't remember how to use them. So I really suggest, and that's why each time you will probably have an independent task to do after each session, and it's just to help you not lose track and keep up to date. And by the end of it, you'll be able to see that you're able to draw a circle, and then automatically you'll be drawing jackets and linings and stuff like that. So it's really important. Practice makes perfect. So guys, I hope you found that useful. Please look at the rest of the work that's required and go through each element so that you are prepared and you can refresh your memory. So if you have any questions, please write them down and make sure that you answer them when you return back at level 5. Take care.